Welcome to the Football Yanks podcast. Yeah, we're American, but we're talking about soccer here. Hosts Derek, Ryan, and Luke are all football fanatics, tracking our fellow Yanks in the EPL and abroad. Enjoy today's episode.
Welcome back to the Football Yanks podcast. It is FA Cup weekend. We are at like half power as a collective. I am sick as shit, but I'm still here making it work. Derek's here. Luke has the Rona, and he doesn't like you guys as much as I do. So
I wouldn't say I'm ever really at 100%, but
yeah,
I'm not sick. So
I haven't seen you at 100% in a decade.
Yeah,
so
that sounds about right, that time frame.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're probably going to hear me coughing and shit, but we're going to make it work. And we're going to cover some of the notable FA Cup fixtures that we saw over the weekend. And, well, yeah, we won't talk about the one that happened today. I guess it wasn't that interesting. Maybe we can talk about Derek's winnings from his gambling addiction. One of his many vices. Yeah, we'll cover those. We're going to talk about some important matches that are coming up. We want to talk a little bit about the impact that AFCON and the Asia Cup is going to have on teams during this period. It's sort of a like indeterminate amount of time, right? I guess so. Like as these players' teams are eliminated from whatever cup they're in, they return to their team. But yeah, we'll talk about that. There's some big names that are out now, and what the impact of that might be. And then there's transfer news that is up to date as of like sometime early this afternoon. We're gonna try to cover some Yanks stuff, Yanks in the ranks, and then I've got a section on here that's just called other nonsense that Derek threw on here.
We haven't really had enough nonsense on this podcast. I kind of realized that this week, so I'm gonna make it a point, make a commitment on my part to get more nonsense integrated.
Yeah, I think if anyone's gonna bring it, it's you. So
yeah.
All right. What about that Arsenal-Liverpool game? Did you watch this? Yeah, you watched
it.
We were like talking about.
Love to see it. Yeah, I mean, I put the word of the week is impotent, but Arsenal looking impotent in this one for sure.
I don't know what's going on there. They had, I think, the full complement of players available to them, and then they chose Kai Havertz as a starter.
Well, right, yeah. Maybe part of the problem begins with the players available to him, and then beyond that, who he's picking to put on the field.
I don't think they have, I mean, I could be missing something. I don't think they have any notable injuries that haven't been there the whole season, right? Like, they got that dude from the, oh God, what's his name? Was it them or was it Liverpool? They picked up that the guy from the Dutch league who got injured like in the first game of the season. I think that was Arsenal. What's his name? I'm
blanking. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it was Liverpool. I don't know. So God, that's really bad that I can't think of this dude's name. Timber. Yeah, it is Arsenal. Jurrien Timber. He had that like horrifying, I think, ACL injury or crucial ligament injury if you're in the UK.
I mean, I think what we've seen out of like Arsenal and Chelsea and some of these teams with high profile coaches is they're not really flexible with their systems or their formations. And so, they want somebody in that role, so they trot Kai Havertz out there instead of trying to maybe figure out how you get your best 11 on the field, and it leaves you with a gap at least one position in this case.
Yeah. It was also notable. I mean, they lost the game, so I don't know how notable this is, but I did see someone mentioned maybe on social media that they were the only of the major teams, I guess, that had played. Is Man United a major club anymore? No. So maybe, but it said of the major clubs that had played on the weekend, that they were alone and not playing any youth, anyone from their youth teams, like not subbing them on. So like Liverpool, I think if I remember right, when they had their breakthrough in this game, I guess we can check like the timeline here, but so they subbed on Connor Bradley and Bobby Clark, and then scored their first goal. So like despite it being even, they made a point to get some of their youth like academy players on for a debut. I don't know if it was their debut, but they still like worked it in these like club matches, but Arsenal did not.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, right? Because we've seen Klopp in some of these competitions before just kind of like, throw shit at the wall, depending on like what kind of mood he's in and whether he like what he thinks he's competing in a given season and his depth and stuff. And so it's interesting to see them, to your point, go that direction, still come out with the result. And Arsenal, I don't know who they have to put in there, but
they were also without what's his name, Van Dijk, due to illness, and Mohamed Salah, which we'll talk about in a bit, due to AFCON. So definitely not at their peak powers. And if you if I had to tell you who played better in this game, I would for sure say Arsenal. Like I thought they I don't know how many times they hit the framework. It looks like only once, but it felt like more than that. It felt like they were like firmly chances in created, Liverpool's box for a while.
I can see that. I think it's a bit misleading when you look at like the shot total and the possession in a game, and for a team like this, to your point, because they're not finishing, right? And so like they're right there, but nothing's coming of it, and so it looks like an even game at worst for them. And that, frankly, this is a good matchup to have. Right, these are the matchups you're hoping to have in later stages, and again, I come back to like how I can't get excited about watching them trot Havertz and Nunez out there and just kind of blasting the ball wherever. But
Nunez is just mayhem. Like
a couple fouls here and there, a couple shots blasting the sky.
How he didn't get carded for that one tackle he like tracked back and just clobbered. I forget who it was, but was it Saka? I think it was Saka.
Stuff. Pretty regularly too. Kind of a dick in my mind, but
just an agent of chaos on the field.
Yeah,
like, you never know.
Sometimes you need that.
Yeah, well, they did against Newcastle when they subbed him on. They were like playing a man down, and they subbed Nunez on with I think 15 minutes left to be played, and he scored twice. Right, so that's what you get. Just an agent of mayhem.
Yeah, and I'm just surprised, given Arteta's managerial skills, that he didn't decide to sub Raya in here to chase the game. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like the card that he would pull.
I swear to God, I had that thought while I was watching this game. That it would be like the most Arteta shit ever for him to just like swap his keeper out, like Ramsdale was the problem or something.
Just crippled with inaction, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, if it weren't for his like analysis paralysis, he would have made that call. Yeah, so next on the list, did you watch the Chelsea game? I guess you and I are the Chelsea guys on this podcast.
Yeah, I did, cuz I was like as impressed as I possibly could be, which
you know what that game was crying out for, sir.
Nicholas Jackson.
Yeah. Yes, sir. He was. Why didn't I put him on the list of major absences here? I'll add him right now.
If Nicholas Jackson had taken that header that Boya did, there would be a concussed kid in the front.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, man. Yeah, that wouldn't have headed toward the goal. Yeah. It's too bad that he went to AFCON because I guess he's just like conceding the goal scoring record for the season.
I don't know. He must for some reason think that Haaland's going to run away with it now. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a crying shame. I didn't even put Chelsea on this. Like, Chelsea did what they were supposed to do and beat Preston 4-0. My one thing that I will say about that game is like the commentary. I think that Chelsea right now is like, because of the money spent and the fact that they have American owners, the coverage around them is very different from like how I see other teams being covered. Like
other mid-table teams.
Yeah, I mean, like,
sure.
Newcastle was like the darling of the weekend. And like Sunderland has not been playing well, and Newcastle beat them 3-0. And like every channel, at least in the United States that I turned on, they were just praising Newcastle for their like gutsy performance. And excuse me.
I think it comes with the territory to an extent too, which I think is what you're saying, right? And people ignore the fact that like Newcastle is a state-sponsored squad and just fixate on what they want to. I think.
Yeah, and I like Newcastle. I like watching them play. I like the fans. I'd really love to see a match there. So it's not like this isn't even directed at Newcastle. I see this. I feel like every weekend. And Chelsea played poorly in the first half, but they came out and just beat the bricks off of them in the second half.
Well, I think and I get it, like, because Champions League winners don't fall this far down the table in a couple of years, and it's been a pretty bad fall from grace, and there's all kinds of reasons for it. But I mean, the better days are ahead for sure, so I don't really worry about it too much. But you're right, it is interesting, kind of like where the shots are taken. And even like Man United, who literally is a team full of scumbags and whiners and complainers in various degrees, like doesn't
Harry
seem
Maguire.
to get, and Harry Maguire just along for the ride because his mom sent him there.
Poor guy.
I gotta send you the link. There's this guy there's one of these like Instagrammers that makes these Minecraft videos about Man U, and it walks a nice middle ground between like the typical self-important Man U fans and like just making fun of themselves, and pretty comical. But Harry Maguire's basically one of the two goats on the team. Just out there, just
nice.
pull him along.
Nice, yeah. Anyway,
I didn't catch the West Ham Bristol City game.
I didn't either. So this is not going to be good commentary at all. But I put it down here. I switched over to it, I guess I should say, a couple times. I think it was on at the same time as the Nottingham Forest game. And in the United States, at least on ESPN, they have this like sort of red zone type thing. I don't know what they call it.
Actually. Yeah, it's called like Goal Zone or something, right?
Yeah, something like that. So I was watching that, and I think a couple clips from the West Ham game came up, but I wouldn't say I watched it at any real depth. And then at some point I just switched over because Nottingham was down. Is that right? So I'm supposed to be saying the scores before we start talking about it. So West Ham won, Bristol City won. I threw this on the list of fixtures to talk about just because I thought it was significant that West Ham at home will now have to do a replay to a lower league club. So now they'll have to go away and play another match. And then if that ends in a draw, it will go to penalties.
Yeah, and they played full starters basically, and didn't get the result that they probably easily should have. So
yeah,
it's
I think
not really a great
Paqueta
sign for
left
a
injured
resurgent
too.
West Ham. And who got hurt?
I think Paqueta, which I believe
Okay.
he came out injured. Did I make that
was
up?
something
Yeah, no,
off.
the 14th minute. Yeah, so he was he was hurt, and yeah.
Well, that's a problem.
Yep. Yeah, so and they're without Kudus because of AFCON, right? So
Yeah, and I mentioned that later in the notes, and that's what kind of like stood out to me. And being down Kudus and Paqueta, like that's going to be a real problem. I think they're kind of the role they were on is to me is probably over at this point, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm not bullish on them. For the next
I'm not
couple
either.
months.
I mean, they way overperformed my expectations early in the season.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah, sorry, I'm trying to like sip water to keep myself from hacking into the mic. But yeah, Nottingham went down 2-0 to Blackpool at one point, and then had to dig themselves out of that hole. And in the process, I caught this goal from what's his name, Morgan Gibbs White. Just another, like, that dude seems to just drop dimes like in every match I watch now.
Yeah.
But great goal from him.
Well, I think in fairness, he's been doing it a
match.
while, right? And I probably didn't get the notoriety last season, but
Yeah.
he's been by far their most consistent performer. Somebody who's probably destined for a bigger club in the near future too. Unfortunately for Forest.
How old is he? I don't. Well,
23.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get a transfer
Be worth a fair
for sure,
penny,
right?
fair pence at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, fair pence. Couple of quid.
I give you 10 quid for him.
Yeah. Looks like
So,
his
yeah, I
market
mean,
value is 40 million euros.
Yeah, that's pretty solid for a Forest. Yeah, you probably have to think about converting that sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. Some of these ties and well, I guess a lot of them are ties, but these results are going to go with replays. Given, I'd say it was a lackluster performance in the last round by the Prem squads in the Champions League. And part of me feels like there's more, as much as there's a ton of parity in the Premier League, I'm not sure just that the Premier League is slightly down in relative talent to the rest of the world and the other leagues, given, the struggles here with some clubs that are below them too.
Yeah.
Then again,
I don't know.
There's variety. It does add variety to the tournament, having these teams possibly advance. So there's that.
And it's good for them. You're talking about. Sorry, I was like looking at Morgan. I was trying to
Blackpool to potentially advance, Bristol City to potentially advance. That would be good for the tournament. It'd be big for them. I mean, I imagine just getting the replay, like playing in this round against the Prem teams, and then getting a replay match. Helps them from a revenue standpoint.
Yeah, it's huge for revenue. And I had read, I couldn't conceptualize this for myself. Reading this article about the FA Cup, but I saw it in action this weekend. So it is better from a revenue standpoint for these clubs to actually play away. Because they share some part of the gate, and like they're guaranteed 15%.
The 15,
or something like that of the seats, and like it's easier for them to fill those than seats at their own stadium. So like if you saw
or at a higher rate. at least. I guess, the relative value of those tickets. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so like they make far more money going away than playing at home. And the fixtures that I watched that took place in a lower league team's stadium, like you could see it in the crowd, like the stands were empty, but like, you know, the other, like West Ham, they had a crowd, you know? So, yeah, I mean, it's good for the lower league clubs. You wanted to make I don't know if you're going to read this verbatim about the Tottenham. The Tottenham.
Yeah. So what was that? Oh, jeez. One nothing for Tottenham. Yeah.
Yeah.
Epic,
they did it.
Epic performance against Burnley. There, you know, really.
I didn't watch this. I didn't realize it was on Friday, right?
Yeah. Yep. Friday after.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was a match to watch, so I didn't see it.
Yeah, I mean, they outshot him by a good bit. I mean, this is another one for me that was closer than it should have been, given the relative strength. I guess what stood out to me here was Son missing and then them putting Richarlison up top, and at one point, not to take anything away from Porro's goal, which was a fucking banger. Definitely,
I did see that goal.
Yeah,
that was a banger.
Probably a top 5 goal for the season. Easily a top 5 goal for the season for me, and kind of out of nothing, because they look again devoid of answers without Maddison and without Son out there. And I think in that same sequence, what I wrote was Richarlison basically like stepped over the ball / tripped over it, and they got recycled to Porro, I think, and then basically Porro said, "Hold my fucking beer," and blasted it in from inside the 18, and Richarlison was there looking as impotent as always. So
I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm gonna come to Richarlison's defense. He's played okay lately. He's like scored a few goals here lately, and
I think he has a slightly better shot than Nicholas Jackson at this point. That's what I would say.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, he's got a ways to go before he's putting up Nicholas Jackson. Sure about that? Before he's putting up Nico Jackson numbers.
I don't know. I continue to be down on him. I think that's going to be a problem.
On who? Richarlison or Nico? You can't possibly be talking about Nico Jackson.
Well, I'm not talking about him anymore, but Richarlison, I think, is going to be a problem for them in the lineup here over the short term until Son's back.
Well, so let's talk about that. So did you must have seen that they picked up Timo Werner on a loan.
You must have seen, or was I informed 30 seconds after the deal was rumored by somebody who follows Tottenham more closely than his club at this point?
I will come to his defense and say that I saw the news of that transfer a good 2 hours before he sent it to our group chat.
Oh, no, I was referring to you. I was assuming you notified me 15 seconds after Fabrizio Romano had
I sat on that one. Okay. It actually came from Luke. I think Luke sent
to see his response to
that. Yeah, because he came in and was like another Chelsea reject to Tottenham.
I what's the right way to frame it? I want to frame it up this way. How does this make any sense to you? Because it doesn't make any sense to me.
The transfer or the loan? It's a loan with an option to buy.
Yeah.
With
the option to buy, but
they need I don't know. He could fit into their system. I don't know. I love Timbo. He he was involved in the goal that won the Champions League for Chelsea. He didn't he played a dummy off off of Kai to draw a defender away from Kai, and
I think that's the best part of his skill set.
I do too. He's very fast. I hate saying this about people, except for you. But he doesn't have a high football IQ, a high soccer IQ.
All right.
I didn't do fucking shit.
just throwing shots aimlessly today. Yeah, so like I don't know.
So your premise is they needed a player and he was available.
Yeah, so that's a depleted squad and now Son is gone. And so like I think alone is perfect. He's fast. They can see if they can make it work. I'm annoyed that another Chelsea person's on Tottenham also, like a former player. But
yeah, I would agree with that part.
yeah, but the three guys who were involved in that Champions League goal now play for Man United, Arsenal, and Tottenham. And that's annoying to me.
Well, I think it's going to be 3 for 3 with very little impact. But
yeah.
We'll see if I'm wrong about because this just doesn't make like there's other players that must have been available. Like there's so many leagues. There's so, like I don't.
Well, you've got to think about what Tottenham can afford. You know,
can afford or wants to spend.
Wants to spend, yeah. Got to think about the bottom line, man.
Yeah,
We're not trying to win football matches. We got to host Taylor Swift.
Maybe, Turbo Timo. Maybe that's more marketable than. It's definitely more marketable with Charlison, so I can get that part. But
yeah, Chelsea fans
putting Kulusevski's face on something, that could be a problem too.
Yeah, you can't merchandise that. Jeez,
wear the mask at least.
Yeah, Chelsea fans called him Timbo because there was like there was like a prank that I think it was a prank that they played on him where they had him film a fake commercial and they were fucking with him and the director kept calling him Timbo. And they made him like get into like a kiddie car and drive that around. It was supposed to be for whatever tire brand was sponsoring them at the time. It's pretty funny. You should look it up.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of the Eli Manning in him sometimes. I feel like, just the difference here being that Eli Manning's actually an exceptionally smart quarterback who comes across as dumb, whereas Timo just kind of might come across and might actually be dumb. But anyways.
Hey, so open this article that's under this Sunderland 0, Newcastle 3. So Newcastle went to Sunderland and kicked the crap out of them, but the funny like headline that I saw today was that Sunderland capped their miserable week by giving Newcastle fans free beer. And basically, like, there was a Wi-Fi outage at the stadium, and the Newcastle fans had loaded up on beer, and like their cards couldn't be run. Like, I guess they had already left with the beer or something. So yeah, look at that picture. Look at that guy.
He looks like he probably had 6 or 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's also exactly what you would picture a typical Newcastle fan as, too. But anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was unnecessary, Derek.
Nobody knows what the guy is I'm even looking at.
All right. Let's talk about some important matches coming. So there were no PL games.
Did we go over the score of that game?
Yeah, I said Sunderland 0, Newcastle 3.
All right. Good enough. All right, check the box. Move on.
Yep. All right, we got Newcastle against City. I guess that's this weekend. That's got to be the Sunday game, right?
I did not plan out the schedule for next weekend, but that sounds right.
Yeah. You know what I appreciate is that I can hear your keyboard, but it doesn't feel like you're feeding the keyboard to the
like somebody else.
Yeah.
Somebody else that often appears on this podcast.
Oh no, they're playing. They're the primetime game on Saturday. So Newcastle Man City Saturday at 12:30. Yeah, what are your thoughts on this? I'll let you go first. Oh, Chelsea and Fulham. That's going to be fun.
I think, it's a good slate next weekend. I think Newcastle City's an interesting one because City's kind of playing down a bit, and Newcastle seems like they're doing all right.
City's getting healthier though.
De Bruyne could play a larger role in that game, right?
Doku was back for their FA Cup game too. Yeah.
I haven't read anything on Haaland's status for this game.
Yeah, dude, the more time that goes by, the more boneheaded his family dropping him from their fantasy team seems. Like, they absolutely knew something significant was wrong with him, right? And then did that, knowing that
was what I said, right? Yeah. I was like, who the hell does that? But I don't know.
They're like people adjacent to a public figure, and just really
that's never bothered Brittany Mahomes or Mahomes' brother from acting like assholes.
Oh,
so, yeah. I mean, some people just can't help themselves. Present company included.
Yeah. I don't know what Brittany Mahomes did. Somebody's gonna have to fill me in on that. I hear that, I hear her catching heat over her actions, but I don't know what those actions are. That's not for this podcast. But
yeah.
So I'm going to be chewing on a cough drop.
But I mean, it's a more even match than you would have thought going into the season. So I think that makes it interesting.
Yeah, it'll be a matter of what version of Newcastle shows up to this. Because they've been pretty Jekyll and Hyde lately too, because of all the injuries they have. At least Isak is that dude. If he plays, he scores. He's just one of the best finishers to my mind in the PL right now. He can score from anywhere. So
yeah, and that could be an X factor, right? Without having Haaland's not going to be out there.
Yeah. Vardiol has been sort of he hasn't been as impactful as I thought he would this year. We're just talking about City.
Playing him all over the place and moving him around, trying to put him John Stones' role, and then having injuries around him, and
just playing on the left flank for a lot of the season that I've seen or that I've observed.
Yes, and then but also playing some CDM too in that John Stone role.
Yeah, because Pep tries to make every center back a midfielder now.
Right,
it worked one time.
Yeah, and he even played what's his name in there, and it looked like a fucking disaster. And so, it's I don't know.
John Stone's a special player, man. Pep really figured out how to make it work for him. The end of last season, he was just undroppable. And he's been hurt quite a bit this season. I don't know what his fitness is rounding into right now. I thought he had been making substitute appearances, but it seems to be pretty start-stop right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, that'll be a big game. That'll be a fun game. Where is that? And that's in Newcastle, so that'll be a shit show. Yeah.
Plenty of beer.
Those Geordies, man. Yeah. They come out in force. Burnley and Luton Town. Big game.
The relegation battle.
It is. It's like a sincerely important fixture for these two teams. Yeah. That's Friday. That's the
Ask
Friday.
Ask me how I'm spending my Friday afternoon. You got your answer.
Yeah. Halo.
Well, that's Friday evening. Friday afternoon is reserved for Burnley and Luton.
And Luton. That'll be in Burnley. Chelsea Fulham will be fun to watch. Everton seems to be coming back down to earth, but Everton Villa could be interesting. Man United Tottenham, we have that on here. I got to imagine Tottenham's just going to throttle Man United at home, but who knows? They dropped 2 on whoever it was today.
It's an inopportune time in the season for this matchup in some ways because they're shorthanded, but I would still tip Tottenham to pull it out somehow. But
yeah,
just because I think how unimpressive United's been and how bad they've been in the Prem. But
yeah, and they've been bad at home. Weirdly,
true. Yeah.
And then, Brighton Wolves could be interesting. Bournemouth Liverpool also could be interesting. So that being your Sunday evening game or Sunday afternoon game, and then Monday. I'm excited about this weekend.
It's a good slate
of matches. All right, so we've been sort of talking through this as we've walked through the topics thus far, but Derek pointed out that there are a lot of big names that are out for AFCON and the Asia Cup. Is it just called the Asia Cup? I don't know.
That's what I thought. I thought I saw it referred to. I mean, I think they always have their abbreviation, which isn't in a native language anyways, but so the English translation is whatever region cup, CONCACAF, AFCON.
So we threw down here
is
Kudus, Son, Salah, and Nico Jackson as major, especially the last one, major absences from their squads.
Did I have Nico Jackson on there, or did you have to add him?
Oh no, I added him. I said earlier I was adding him to the list of major.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for doing that.
Yep. So and that'll drive you to do crazy things like take Timo Werner on a loan for a 6-month loan. So Tottenham's trying to address that. Their whole left by the butcher of North London. Did you want to speak to Kudus specifically? You threw.
I guess I touched on it earlier, but I mean, I don't think. Well, I'd be surprised if West Ham goes out and spends big to fill that gap with the transfer. I just think that he's such a core piece of that squad that's going to hurt them. And we already talked about the other headwinds they have. So West Ham could be in for a little bit of a slide here.
Yeah, and if I'm tracking correctly, I think that he had just started, and by just started, I mean like within the last month and a half, to like really nail down that starting position as his own. And it become more of a core piece of their team. So it's a pretty inopportune time for that to happen. And I do think it'll have an impact. I've said this a few times on the podcast. I wanted Kudus at Chelsea, and I think for a while we were linked with him because his agent came out and said that Chelsea were obsessed with getting the Caicedo deal done and like just never got back to them. And so that's why they ended up going to West Ham. But yeah,
I do remember that.
He's a real one. Yeah. He's a baller. All right, let's I'll run through some transfers. So we're in the transfer window now. I'm going to try to do this without just fucking dying. But wanted to cover some major transfer rumors and topics. Not a lot has happened yet, but a major deal that is done or is like considered to be basically complete is Sancho back to Dortmund on a loan with option to buy. Ian Maatsen from Chelsea is also heavily rumored to be going to Dortmund. So some interesting business being done by Dortmund. I think Dortmund have a lot of former players who left the club now coming back to the club, which is sort of interesting.
Yeah. And Royce has been there for forever. And yeah, this, I don't know, it seems kind of weird to me that it's I don't know the specifics. It must be a loan with an option to buy, right, for Sancho?
Yeah, that's what I had read. Let's see.
I don't know, why. I mean, I guess he's going to come in there and prove himself, I guess, to an extent, because they don't know what he's getting because he hasn't been playing. So maybe that's why. But I would think this is as good an outcome as any for United at this point. Yeah.
It says they're continuing talks over loan fee for outcast Jadon Sancho. So, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting that these are loans. I assume it's because the club's budgets aren't set for or something like that. I know that I think it was Moyes on behalf of West Ham. He said that the club is in a position such that they would need to sell in order to buy. So like they may be selling some people. Anyway, I think Ben Rama is expected to maybe make an exit during this transfer window, but we'll see.
He's looked atrocious.
Yeah. At one point,
highly ineffective.
At one point, he was linked with Chelsea like 5 years ago or something, and I was about it. But he has not looked good this season, and he missed that PK.
I forgot about that. They
a couple weeks ago, or maybe a week. Yeah. Chelsea and Arsenal both need strikers, and that's going to be an ongoing story. Pochettino came out today and said that Chelsea would not need to sell in order to buy, which is just boggles my mind. But I don't know, like Tottenham and Arsenal and Man United all seem to be up against it with financial fair play. And there's something about the way Chelsea are cooking their books or whatever they're doing that is keeping them afloat here. But yeah, apparently they're in a position where they could go toe-to-toe with Arsenal, at least financially, for a striker. And then the rumors that I had seen are that several former Chelsea legends like Drogba are reaching out to Osimhen to convince him to try to play like sort of an agent between the two clubs. Now Osimhen, or between the player and the club, I should say. Osimhen just signed an extension with Napoli, and he will be there through the end of the season. So it came out that there's a transfer fee, a trigger clause that is like 112 million euros. And so that fee is set, and it can be agreed to, like you can come to an agreement with a club in the January window to then execute in the summer, but he can't leave. Like that clause does not become active until the summer. So only a pre-agreement could be settled on.
So this is another one where, like, why would he agree to that if he's already decided he's done with the team and wants to move on after the season?
I don't know.
Like, I get why Mbappe would probably want to recover some costs or help PSG recover some costs, or at least that's what he said at times. But like, Osimhen doesn't seem like he has that base,
that sort of relationship.
Yeah, that kind of relationship with the club anymore because it's soured so much. But I mean, maybe that's what he needed to do to get paid the rest of this season. I don't know.
Yeah,
it makes sense that we're trying to recruit kind of because we're in a disadvantaged position from from performance standpoint to try and recruit somebody to kind of walk into what at the moment's been kind of an up and down shit show at times this season. See somebody that's more of a veteran, established player, I should say, to try and help them get back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How is he doing? And I don't even know what his numbers have looked like this season.
That I could not tell you.
I don't know. I guess 2023 stats. We could probably look it up real quick. 7 goals, 2 assists in 13 matches. That's definitely not the form.
13 though. Okay.
Yeah, that's not the form he was in last season. Who's leading
he's
Serie A?
Only played 13 matches. He must have been hurt for a bit.
He was hurt. And then there was all that like social media drama stuff. Yeah, where I don't think he was starting. Yeah, I'm curious who is leading Serie A for goals. Lautaro Martinez with 16 goals. The next closest is Giroud with 9. Lautaro Martinez is a gangster. I gotta watch that
weird.
dude.
He didn't play that well in the World Cup, from what I remember.
You know, he's tied for 4th, is what they have it listed as. Weirdly,
Pulisic,
Lukaku with 8 goals.
Yeah, one of the hot
I guess
takes
tied
is
for
like,
3rd.
Yeah, like it wasn't his fault that he sucked at United, because it was United. Just the situation, and like he's been fine otherwise. I think it's a false narrative, because he played like shit in the Champions League last season, and I don't know, hasn't really had that great of a run of form, but
he kills it for his country, and he's like, something about the Italian league seems suited for his profile, I guess.
Yeah.
Pulisic with 6 goals. So, pretty productive season for him. All right, back on track. Chelsea are rumored to be looking to trigger Paulo Dybala's. I think I'm saying
Dybala. Yeah.
Dybala's.
Wow. So another attacker with no position that we put into our positionless offense. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. 12 million. Apparently, has a $12 million release clause, which is crazy to me that would be it. But he does fit the profile. He is like fungible in where he can be played, and that he doesn't really have a best position. And
there's a word, fungible, man. It's like you've been working in manufacturing or something. That's a good one.
Yeah. And then he's very injury prone, which is something we look for at Chelsea. Yep. What do you think happens? Did you see Sam Kerr tore her ACL in training?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, she tore her ACL in training. They were doing warm weather training over the weekend, and she tore her ACL. Huh. What do you think? Do you think that like Chelsea's training looks something like the UFC's Fight Island? Like,
yeah,
when you just walk in and people just beat the shit out of you, and like how are they this injured?
Well, in fairness, like, you're more likely to get injured doing drills than just juggling the ball around like United does in their training. So there's that aspect of things. But
here's who's out for Chelsea right now: Badiashile, Chilwell, Chukwuemeka, and Cuckoo, who picked up a hip injury in training this week. Chalobah, Cucurella, Fofana, James, Lavia, Sanchez, and Ugachukwu. That's crazy.
Well,
what are they doing?
I think there is variability. I think I've said that coaching is kind of an overrated thing in certain sports, more so than soccer. But I also think that like maybe physical training is something that like there is a disparity between clubs, and there's big money in the NFL, and the Ravens had a shitty trainer for a while, like half a decade at least, and never did anything about it. And you wonder what Chelsea's doing to actually rectify this situation, or some of these other clubs that have had a lot of injuries, because there's art and science to it in terms of the art of like being good at protecting the players under your purview and making sure they're not getting constantly injured and re-injured and rehabbed appropriately. And part of it comes down to the player too, I guess, but like it's weird to see all of them grouped together.
Yeah, they're also being just run into the ground with the number of matches throughout the year. There's all these talks of like capping the number of fixtures a player can participate in throughout the calendar year. So,
but like, who are those guys getting run into the ground other than your boy Nicholas Jackson, who plays every conceivable minute?
Like, what do you mean? Like the major injuries?
We were able to rotate center backs even still. Like outside, like fullback I get. But like there's been depth there. I mean, like.
Oh, you mean the Chelsea injuries specifically?
Yeah. To me, I guess maybe it's different, but to me, Chelsea's not an issue of matches played.
No, it's not. You're right. This is something else.
But I do
on the
think
whole, like, there's a lot of I mean, the injury that Enzo Fernandez has had is a stress injury, and the guy, like, it's a sports hernia, so he's just been running to the ground. Yeah. And the guy's like traveling back and forth across the world to play for club and country. Nobody gives him a break ever. That's never going to come from his national team, right? Like, it's not on them to rest him. And now he's got a sports hernia, which is I've had a sports hernia before, and they are tricky to put behind you. Like it's basically like a groin injury that's really easy to re-aggravate. It's kind of a misnomer that it's called a hernia at all. It's a groin injury, a stress injury, and usually like a weakness issue in your adductor. So yeah, anyway, that's like, he'll play, like he could play and then go down injured again is the point I'm trying to make, because like, it's just one of those injuries, sort of like a hamstring, that's very easy to re-aggravate. So we have that to look forward to maybe. The last transfer item I had on here was Elise. There was a rumor that what's the guy's name? I always want to say Radcliffe. Is it Radcliffe who like bought in?
I think so. Daniel Radcliffe. Yeah.
Isn't that like
equity?
What's the name of the guy who played Harry Potter?
That's the guy, isn't it?
No, it can't be.
Oh, I just assumed that's which Radcliffe it was. I mean,
no, it can't be Daniel.
Radcliffe's like one of the fifth most popular last name in Britain. I don't know.
Is it? Oh, it's Ratcliffe, like R-A-T.
And what's Ratcliffe's notoriety then? I just assumed. Yeah, I don't know.
It's Jim Ratcliffe. Daniel Radcliffe. Dude, I was so confused when you said that last week. I was like, wait, isn't that the Harry Potter guy?
Oh, this guy looks like a rat, too. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Jim Ratcliffe.
This is the guy, the CEO. Oh, of course I should know this guy. He works in petrochemicals.
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic.
Yeah, this is right in your wheelhouse.
CEO of Ineos, yeah.
Anyway, so the arrangement at Man United is such that the Glazers will control the commercial direction of Man United, and Ratcliffe will control the footballing, the soccer.
It's called soccer. Go USA.
The soccer aspect of the club. And he has said, or like it leaked, or there are rumors that he would like the first major piece of business that they do be to bring Elise in. So, and that would be a good, like, Elise has looked great this season. I would have loved to see him at Chelsea. I'm very happy with Cole Palmer, but notably that's also the position that Antony lines up in most. So, yeah, that's going to be a mistake that takes them a long time, I think, to get out from under with the fee that they paid for him. So,
yeah, if you're Elise, though, like, why would, again, like, this is one that doesn't make sense. Like, why would you want to put yourself through United?
I don't think Man United with soccer players is still held in really high regard, and I don't know why. Like, eventually this will catch up with them. They can't be this mediocre forever and it not catch on. But yeah, players still view it as like a destination. They can still attract some of the best players in the world. So
I'm sure the wages aren't bad too.
Yeah, their wages are their wage structure. There was a comparison of the wages of the top, or of all the clubs in the PL, like the total wage bill, I guess I should say. And Chelsea had dropped to like 8th on the list or something like that. Like they'd really cleave their wage structure down, which is another wrinkle with this Osimhen deal. Like if their new wage structure is such that they're not paying, they're like heavily incentivized contracts where like you have a low base wage and they're looking to keep their wage bill down. Like, why would an Osimhen do that when like they could go to Arsenal and win and get paid, you know? But
yeah, that's fair.
All right, you want to talk about Yanks in the ranks? I'm dying over here, man. So I'll let you talk for a bit.
Yeah, Timothy Weah had a blast of a goal, and so I feel like I've seen him take some of these shots outside the 18 for the national team occasionally, and like he has a lot of confidence in his foot, so he'll take him on. Like, it doesn't work out often, but every once in a while you get one of these real bangers. So they hit a great goal that's worth watching or rewatching or watching if you haven't seen it. This week. And then I think you did me the favor, or maybe I guess I collect this, right? So there's a couple, I guess, signings, MLS signings. Yeah, the one that stood out was Zach Steffen, but first was the Miles Robinson signing for FC Cincinnati, which, and I guess I'll mention him the same. Then Zach Steffen joined Colorado Rapids from Man City, and so in terms of playing time, yeah, I think it's great. It is, my reaction to this was a little mild disappointment in that, in particular, like Miles Robinson, to me, I think is a player that could go play in some capacity in a top 4, top 8 league in Europe, and maybe get more development there than playing in the MLS. I just feel like we haven't gotten people over the hump, so to speak, and just developing in the MLS recently. I don't know.
Yeah.
Different thoughts about that, but it's similar with Steffen. Like, I don't know. I thought Steffen was good enough to go play for a big club.
Well, he went to City for a bit, but just like couldn't make it happen, right? Yeah. Steffen, I don't know, man. Like, my frank thoughts on Steffen and our current complement of goalies is that they're just not very good. Like Turner, I think, is probably the worst goalie in the PL, and Steffen sits behind him in the pecking order. Now, it's not to say that he couldn't go play in Germany or something. I don't know. Like, there's probably a better league than the MLS, but the MLS has like a new draw to it with Messi. Like, they've sold out Miami has sold out every game of this season because Messi is playing there. And yeah, I don't know. Like, I generally agree with you. I don't think highly of the MLS. I'd much rather see these guys playing in a league out in Europe. But Steffen like kind of tried to make it work, and it didn't work out for him. So maybe this will be a good way to build him back up.
Yeah, that's fair. And then the last bullet point out here under other nonsense, which I need to expand this a lot, was I was thinking about for what game I was watching. I want to say it was like a Bournemouth game or something last week. But yeah, anyways, there was a red card and somebody came off injured because of the red card in like the 10th minute, something in that time range. And just, whereas we think about like player safety and, similar to the kind of concussion free subs, it got me thinking about whether there should be a free sub if somebody's injured on a straight red card foul, like directly as a result of it. And in order to kind of, I don't know, lend some more equitability to the situation if one of your key players is injured.
So you saw that happen in a match?
Yeah.
Okay. So where they like,
and maybe it doesn't come up that often, but like literally, like there was a foul. It was a terrible challenge. The player came off because he was injured, and there was a red card given for the foul.
Huh.
And I imagine if in terms of player safety, like encouraging people to take off, take players off that may be compromised is also in the best interest of player safety. But I know it kind of goes against that. We're still kind of getting used to the 5 sub rule, and maybe that's sufficient. But it just seemed pretty unfair to the one squad to have their one of their players taken off injured, even if the other team is given the red card like that quickly.
Yeah, or something like you get one incidental sub for these reasons, like injury or whatever.
Yeah,
like
concussion, true. Yeah, I think it's fair to cap it at, I guess it's 6, right? You get 6 total if you have a concussion or something else. But
yeah, I mean, if they want these players to play year round, you need to be giving opportunities for subs. Honestly, it's the only way I can see things going.
Yeah, and I don't think it detracts from the game anything strategically at that point. It just seems fair to like for sub a player without having to use one of your tactical subs.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that's a good thought.
Yeah,
I don't know. Who do we take that up with? Who do you want?
I don't know. I think we mostly just have to keep going on tirades about how bad VAR and reffing is, right? Like we got to follow the lead of the masses and just lean into that for a bit, and then we can come back to things that actually improve the game.
I was listening to a podcast. It's really too bad Luke isn't on, but in the it might have been the Men in Blazers podcast. They're another US based podcast. Anyway, they said that they were ready to turn over refereeing to Sam Altman as soon as he builds a model. And I was like, these guys fucking get it. Like these guys get it. Anthony Taylor, I think, let me check. I'm just going to Google his name. But he reffed today and I don't think he blew it. Oh my God. The Roma Press. Anthony Taylor elected among top 5 referees of 2023. I don't know what I'm missing with this guy.
What? Well, yeah. That was the Italian press, you said, right?
Yeah. Despite his controversial decision-making in the Europa League final in Budapest, he was inserted in the list compiled by the International Federation of Football History and Statistics for the best referees and their performances in the last calendar year. Yeah.
I have no idea what those criteria are that statistically would support that, but it's safe to say that based on everything we've seen,
I honestly think he's the worst ref in the PL. He is the ref that the PL sent to the World Cup. Yeah. Or that England sent to the World Cup, but yeah, he's been bad, shocking, statistically horrible, to the point of demotion. So I don't know how it's possible that he's among the 5 best refs in the world, but yeah. All right, well that's all of our topics. I'm dying. I'm sorry about the lack of energy this week. Hopefully we'll be back to full strength next week, or Derek will be sick and then we'll limp along in that way.
No, we're just gonna pump Luke full of every narcotic we can find and trot him back out with his normal energy.
Yeah, just dump him into his creaky chair and
yeah, maybe what he meant was he didn't have enough energy to slam his desk repeatedly. He's like, I gotta sit this one out. I'm all worn out.
Yeah, I need to find a microphone that is like mechanical keyboard noise canceling or whatever for his side. But yeah, all right. Well, that's a podcast. It's actually a short one for us. This is closer to around where we want to keep these at anyway. But we are on social media. We're on every podcasting platform. Please like and subscribe wherever you listen to this, and let us know your thoughts. Like, rate the episode. That'd be super helpful for us. We have a Discord that we fuck around in throughout the week, and Yeah, I think that's it. Am I forgetting anything, Derek? All that's in the show notes or the show description.
No, I think I'll continue to take cracks at doing a poor job of posting things on Instagram with bad formatting and accidentally posting them twice and stuff like that. So keep an eye out.
Yeah,
good matches Saturday through Monday this week. So
yeah, I'm excited. And a big game tomorrow for Chelsea for the Carabao Cup. I'm serious. They need this.
I meant to mention this. I don't have anything planned, but I don't know if watching that is. I mean, I know we need it, but like if we can't get a result against Middlesbrough, then I don't know. Then I don't think Nicholas Jackson is going to save us when he gets back.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to deal with the absence of Nicholas Jackson. That's got lots of injuries
here, right? It's like how do we adapt to such a a high level match and competition without our star striker.
Yeah. I don't know, but we'll find out tomorrow, and that's the away fixture. So we've got to travel all the way to wherever they are, and do the thing. So, all right, everyone, thanks for listening. I'll be back and more capable next week.
So we think. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Football Yanks podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. We'll see you next time.